Hello, Soul Family. I am Shannon Pardini, and I'm with Quantum Heart Conversations. And today I have someone who's very dear to my heart. I want to introduce you to Darcel Walker. I'm going to read a little bit about his bio, but I want to share that our topic today is going to be Quanta of Hope. And to dive in, a little bit about Darcel. He's a filmmaker, a creative, and founder of the Creative Startup Group, where the creative passion and technology meet. Bio-quantum creative engineer. I love that. I want to talk a little bit about that. In his current role as a bio-quantum creative engineer, Darcel research includes the creation, scaling, and distribution of the quanta in hope. His successes have stemmed from essential skills, including concept design, creative visualization, and filmmaking. Darcel's philosophy is that introducing a fresh perspective and new techniques on the facilitation of hope will allow the mental stability of humanity to evolve and grow. Darcel has 20 film credits with imdb.com, as well as numerous broadcast and cable industry assignments that include the History Channel, Discovery Channel, CBS, ABC, and the BBC. He also directed and series creator of Bamboo Dreams, a place where the attractive pain of will and determination meet. And again, I just adore Darcel. He knows I adore him. We met in, I think it was 2008 when I was in film school, and he was our audio teacher. You taught us how to work the program. I even forgot which one it was during that time, the editing system, but you're just so skillful in getting others' attentions in such a loving, kind, soulful way. And I just, thinking about that time, you really truly were a teacher that just everything stuck out to me with you and just my remembering. And it made things so much more coherent to really enjoy the process of audio and filmmaking. So I just want to honor you and thank you for being a part of that with me and being a mentor in my life. And again, I'm just so excited to share with the audience what you're doing. So to step in with you, Darcel, give us a little bit about your backstory, and then also what is a bio-quantum creative engineer?
Oh, wow. Thank you for such a lovely intro, Shannon. Um, well, I guess I should start with my background. I'm a creative, and I've always loved the creative arts. And I realized early on there was nothing more important than, I guess, well, no, let me back up. I learned from the arts that they resonate peace. They resonated peace for me in music, in movies, and I always picked out those parts that were memorable for me, that made me feel good or moved me, or music gave me these vibrations and these feelings. And I thought, gosh, I want to be a facilitator of that, how whatever that looks like. And it kind of it drove me to crave that everywhere I went. If there wasn't peace where I went, I didn't want to be there. Or if there wasn't joy or, some type of unity, it wasn't the place for me. And that guided me for all my life, to make the decisions that I made, which were, you know, took me to a place to, in the material world, takes you to arts. If you follow your heart, you struggle. And I call that attractive pain. And I was driven to the attractive pain of my personal bamboo dream, and I never let it go. I married it, and I just went from there. And it evolved over time because you have to balance that with making a living as well, and that was really hard in music. I was a full-time musician for 15 years, and then I segued out of that and had to go back to corporate America. And then I realized that's definitely not the place for me. I can the creator will provide for me if I really mean what I say and follow my heart and my passion. Everything should come to me, and so far it has. So that I parlayed being a musician from learning signal flow in studios to location sound for film and television. At the time, how I was able to make that transfer. My dad crossed over and left me some money, and I decided this was my chance to step out of corporate America. And I purchased, cutting edge audio equipment since I knew signal flow. And then I went back to school to study engineering. Um, and after I got out of school, I started working with musicians and recording live shows when Prince would come to town, and he'd have jam sessions at these clubs and stuff. And some of the local musicians would be there, and I would contract out like 3 shooters, and I would be the sound tech, and we'd record the live show of all these, players that would come through town. And but that got bogged down by attorneys because they were willing to pay the 10K for this service, and I would do sliding scale for the musicians who had talent but didn't have money. I would make these other people pay that service for them. And so it was going pretty good till it came time to sell the music. And it was kind of a bickering between the musicians of who owned it and who would get the rights. And then the attorney stepped in once the musicians worked it out. And so I thought, well, I need to I need to pivot from music to film and television. And so I bought a recorder. At the time, me and the mixer for Lucasfilms were the only ones who had this type of gear and these microphones. But he was a major player and I wasn't. And so I decided, well, my calling was to elevate. I always wanted to help musicians, so I just kind of pivoted and wanted to help filmmakers because all filmmakers at the time in Bay Area had bad sound. And I like to think I was the person who changed that for filmmaking in the Bay Area because I worked for free for the first 6 or 7 months to show people that, if you had all your I's dotted and your T's crossed and you had a good story, good picture, I can give you good sound and you should be able to compete with, anything on television or Hollywood, what have you. And so then the word got around and it just kind of just blew up. And I went from there to after being in the business I started all that in 2003. And after a while, I started to wonder, how can these companies pay me this kind of money, and just think nothing of it. And I thought, well, somebody's making a lot of money and we all know it takes money to change the world. And I thought, well, I have to figure out how to create passive income. And so I realized that it's projects that work for you while you're asleep. And I realized that if I created the right project, then it would give me the financial freedom to actually, fulfill my mission of empowering others in the arts and to be sure that the arts are respected because of what they gave me. And so I started, producing my own films and what have you. And then I got to the point to where you need money for filmmaking as well. And then I couldn't really, get that together. And I thought, well, there's more money here in Silicon Valley than Hollywood. And so I decided I need to add a component to it that's attractive to Silicon Valley. And so I kind of researched technology and thought, how can I embellish my vision with technology? And I thought, I got it. I figured it out. It's everything is based on, the basics of my message of peace and hope and, love and understanding. And could I create technology around that? Because nobody's done a startup for peace or a startup for hope or a startup. There, everything is about mechanical engineering and software engineering. So I made a pivot during the pandemic, just the very beginning of the pandemic, and I created a group just for that called the Creative Startup Group, where creative passion and technology meet. And so it's basically whatever your passion is, if you can marry technology to that passion, then you belong in this group. And so I I conceptualized some technology that encapsulates the name of this podcast, the Quanta of Hope or in Hope. And so one of the things that I wanted to do was, create, scale, and distribute hope, the Quanta in Hope. And what that looks like in the real world is, if you're, as a person with a high awareness, or even a mother with maternal skills. Mothers always have high awareness because they keep their families safe. You can sense when there's danger, when there's something's wrong or something's amiss. And I'm saying that all that can be measured and counted, the aura of that. And so I proposed a bio-quantum spectrum device. I can't really say the name of it. We're just going to call it a device right now, which will be able to do that, measure that and scale it and move it around, kind of like if you look through it through the lens of remote viewing or Tesla, moving stuff from point A to point B. So I conceptualized that. I reached out to the Moonshot Factory at Google, and they thought, "Oh wow, this is something." So they sent out a senior talent strategist that groomed me for a month to, before I did the presentation to them. And then I thought, well, they're moving, a little fast, and I think I really have something here. And science is not my strong point, but conceptualization and creativity are. And I thought, well, I need to hire my own team of neuroscientists and biophysicists and quantum photonics engineers and what have you. And so I reached out on Clubhouse, because I won't say this. This could be seen as a blanket statement, but it's not. But all the physics groups and physicists that I've reached out to in my generation were kind of set in their ways. It was the young physicists that I realized that they're doing things that they can't get funded either, and they reassured me whatever I can conceptualize, I can't go beyond their dreams. And I thought that I'm finally around the right group of people. And so we had some meetings with I had a meeting with the founder of the quantum photonics room. She's a physicist. And she said, Darcel, we should develop this outside of the Moonshot Factory because this is your IP, but it'll be based off of my IP. And we want to have control of that, because there's so much technology that can be designed beyond what you're conceptualizing. And you don't even know, this is the bottom floor of what you're conceptualizing, and it will grow and grow and grow. And you don't want anybody dictating of what you can do with this.
Can I make one comment?
Yes.
Know what I love about all of this is it's so perfectly aligned. You're creating a scalar wave of hope that can go, it's immeasurable because you've brought in the right people. You know what I mean? It's like you're so good at trusting yourself in flow state and staying on the path that feels like yes, next, more. And so again, you have this beautiful scalar wave because this is your product, and it's you who are going to be the one that's holding this frequency and giving it the hope that it needs, like beyond hope, because again, that's what scalar waves do, right? And we don't want them to be mixed with any type of interference when we know exactly what that frequency is and who we want to admit it to, and I adore that. It sounds so precise, And I just wanted to add that in there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Shannon. Well, I'll also add, what hope means to me, what I plan to move around. Hope to me is the revelation of a solution to any given challenge, um, up to and including the loss of a loved one. Because I feel that the loss of a loved one, which is really not a loss, but that's for another room, um, is the worst pain we can feel as human beings. And that's one of the gifts I wanted to give to society, of if they can get their mind around this hope that I am distributing and scaling, that it will open up the right thought process to where you'll see this other place, what civilizations and cultures call heaven. It's like just simply another country, that you can't travel to in your physical body, but I don't believe it's off limits in the dream world. Um, and so, but that's for another room as well.
Well, it's beautiful because it's a consciousness. It's a consciousness that you can actually measure the frequency of, and then you know if done right, it's getting produced or put out there in certain media or form. But we know how consciousness works. It's, as in a collective, we have these mirror neurons. So if you're bringing that out, it does set inside of us, in the cellular template. Just again hearing you say all that, it gives me chills, and it gets me excited that these are intellectual properties that are being made these days.
I'm just kind of continuing that process of moving this forward in the best way I can, with the limited resources that, you're always up against challenges when you're trying to do things that, bring things into this world that don't exist, or you have to find the right team of the people who understand your vision. And everything is on a certain clock, I've learned. No matter, uh, if you think you're not moving, you're moving. If you're moving, you might not be moving. You just have to just go. And that's what I've learned, that everything finds you at the right time. And I have tried, I've reached out to one of the people I think that might be a fit and understand this is the Mackenzie Scott Dan Jewett Foundation. And I did reach out to them because she's a writer as well. And I invited her to the movement. So I'm waiting to hear back to see if she's interested in, writing it with me. And the movement, how I plan to create, scale, and distribute the hope is through technology, but there has to be a marketing message behind that, and that's where my filmmaking comes in at. I'm futurizing. I'm doing it via space, so sci-fi, because you can do anything you want in sci-fi, anything you can conceptualize. And so basically I've created a movement called an urban Star Trek, the Starlight Source, a search for heaven, an urban Star Trek. And the ship is a metaphor for the body, and it's on this long journey. And so that's the marketing tool for the technology. And there's different special guests who will have their own starships that will assist this starship on its journey and protect it and what have you, as it goes through the challenges of reaching this state, this divine state. And one of the players I did reach out to have their own starship is Stephen Curry. And so that's his starship is the Starship Divine. And that's the project that I reached out to the Mackenzie Scott Dan Jewett Foundation on, because Stephen Curry is a filmmaker at heart. And when I'm on set with him all the time, he enjoys filmmaking. We have good conversations and what have you. And so I thought, that would be my gift to him, is to create a platform for him to kind of like a creative playground for him and his wife and kids. And so, but I invited Mackenzie to that playground, since she's a writer as well. And because her vision is it's divine as well, because anytime that you can alleviate someone's suffering, be it financially, mentally, or physically, those are the players that I'm attracted to, who I want to invite to this movement. And Stephen Curry does that, night after night on the basketball court. But people don't know that he's a filmmaker at heart. I mean, he has gotten into the business, and he makes documentaries and things like that. But on set, his interest, he's always behind the camera, and knows his shots, knows what he wants, and this, that, and the other. So I would like to use that project for marketing and moving this whole thing forward.
Beautiful. And tell our audience too more, like, give your mission statement and who you are directing this project to.
Our goal is to inspire, motivate, and educate the underserved youth. And we want to do that. One of the components of this technology is we're going to incorporate academics and learning into the technology. And what that looks like, there's a 3D figure, like say a Ken Barbie doll or G.I. Joe, whatever. We call it a performance figure, but it has AR, VR qualities. And it talks, kids can, it syncs with the show when the show comes on broadcast television or the online version. Test tone comes through and wakes up the toy, and they say, tell the kids, hey, be sure and watch scene da 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 da. We touch on math, and in your math class today you studied this. So, and then different things like that. And then there's an app also that that's paired with the technology of this performance figure that helps the kids with their daily. It's kind of like a Siri or searching, but it's the captain of each starship, so it helps them. It makes it fun. It's a creative way of learning and moving things forward. So that's the technology that's built in that works with the show.
I love it. And have you tested it with the kids yet?
It's still conceptualized, and
okay.
We're ready to build the prototype once we get the cash flow moving forward.
Beautiful. I love it. So I love all this exciting, like these projects that you're bringing forward. It very much is in the quantum sphere. And what do you foresee in the next 6 months? Like, what's really resonating with you as you're moving forward here?
Well, it's I hope to be able to start moving this forward by summer. I've already filmed a lot of the scenes of the main show.
You feel in resonance where you need to be next. You're really attuned how to move forward. And so I'm curious, as there is great energy behind this project coming through, where do you see yourself 6 months from now?
6 months from now, I hope to be actually having these shows on air, marketing the technology, and creating and scaling and distributing hope via this new technology and this new approach. And I'll break that down even further when I say, so that you can get a picture of what it is I'm scaling. Because it looks like it's along the lines of emotions and thoughts, and it's somewhat like that. And so here's a good way to look at it. Monday feels different than Friday. Friday feels different than Saturday. San Francisco feels different than Hollywood. And the reason for that, like the difference between the fields of the cities, is that Hollywood is a standout because you have so many creatives in one location living their dream and striving for their dream that it creates this type of energy. It creates this, and that's why people feel a certain way. I'm going to Hollywood, or I was in LA, I was here or there. And so I hope to be able to move that type of energy on a personal level, on a group level, on a city level, a regional level, and a national level, and a global level. And so 6 months from now, I hope to have that in motion at some point in that process.
And what would you like our audience to know?
I just want them to believe that all things are possible, and that wherever you are in life, you can find peace. Your situation doesn't have to change around you as long as you're able to eat, and somewhat have some type of a roof over your head. If you can get to that point, and sometimes you can get there without that, it just takes a special person. But I can't speak to that because I have food in my stomach and I have a roof over my head. But if you can just get to that point, that I want people to know that you can live the life of your dreams. And that's what I want to assist with on a subconscious level.
Right. Yeah, that's beautiful of addressing, certain belief systems that we hold so tightly, with different themes in our lives. And, whether it be scarcity, victim, we've all had a certain amount of suffering, one way or another. But it's beautiful that we can use this type of scalar frequency, these energies to really, because I feel a lot of the time, when we're working with this quantum technology, it's so helpful in reprogramming the neural pathways, right? Is which essentially what we're aiming for, but also it knows how to override the lower frequencies, because you're able, like, you're measuring these different frequencies and where they're at. And I just think it's so cool that, we're getting to a point in our lives where it is that intricate, and that, when we put the love, this energy behind technology in a different way, there's so much that we can alleviate these lower frequencies that burden people's pathways, that instead we can be using our time so much more consciously and freely, with just the slightest of help with technology like this.
Exactly. And the blessing of poverty is that you have all the time you need to accomplish whatever it is you dream to accomplish. And I will add too that by distributing hope, and because hope creates peace, and peace creates joy, and joy is my strength. And I think that's what you felt when we first met, because I've always been aligned with, I know where my strength is, and no matter what goes on, I look at it like how much pain I've been through or how many losses I've taken. There was still some, I look at it as my creator loved me enough to put those people in my life that I was able to experience love or experience the care that they gave me, versus I've lost them. And so I just want to get people to that mindset of, if you can get a hold of this hope, which is, it's a revelation of a solution in a given challenge, then it will create a certain level of peace, and you'll have joy from peace, and nothing can shake that. Once you get to a certain level of peace, you'll look at it like, well, that was that. It's just out of my control. You learn to accept what's not in your control, but you learn to, care for others more than you can, wherever you can help people attain that. it it gives back to you. Like I say, if you give it away, you get it. Because I like to say, if you're not giving, you're not living. So uh,
Yeah,
that's my
it's
approach.
again too with that piece. It's when we come, I always call it home frequency in your body because your
Yeah,
body knows that pure essence. And so when we know that, it's hard to go backwards anymore. And I truly believe in the divine design of life, just what you were saying, whatever limited us before, whatever we had to suffer in different programmings of our lives, it's the divine design, and if we come out of it in this beautiful frequency of peace, it's really hard to go backwards. And also, when you're able to really understand the level of consciousness that you've moved through from subconscious, coming conscious, and just knowing what's going on in those blinder areas of the subconscious, it's you get so in that peace and so in that home frequency that you're able to really make the things in your life come forward, because now you don't have those distractions anymore, where you're able to really tune in and become more magnetic to what you are in creation of and the people that resonate with that. And so peace is just such an incredible frequency of creation.
I agree, and it's paramount for me. I mean, I have no tolerance for anything that comes between me and that. And so I just like to surround myself with people who emit that. And if they don't, then it's not like I'm better than anybody else, but I protect it, I guard it, and I don't put myself anywhere where I have to defend it.
Yeah, it's your authenticity. It's who you are, and I honor that. I honor when we choose the self love within ourselves, right, to radiate out, and we're not going to pretend or fake it to make it, because we know that authenticity so well, and we want to exude that just as much as we want to bring that into our lives. So I fully honor, again, Darcel, who you are, and, just to see you through the years and just still holding that space. It's so very, very powerful. And I love what you're creating. It's genius. It's unique, and we're so ready for it. It's such a time now where we truly can use our technology for the better of everything. We're so advanced. Like, let's play, let's have a good time, let's like energetically feel good. So
Agreed.
is there anything else you want to add to our audience? Let everyone know where they can find you.
Oh, yeah. Um, well, you can find me in the Bay Area. I don't really, um, I like personal, seeing people in person versus phone or technology or email, but I know that's not always possible. But I am in the Bay Area, and I do have a site, sustainableproduction.tv, where I'll be, where some of my information is up at. But as far as this whole movement and show, I have the domain for the creative startup group.tv, and all this information will be up there soon, probably by the beginning of summer. Um, and I'd like to invite others, to follow their creative passion, and invite them to find some type of way to enhance that passion with technology, and then come see us, join us, and there's strength in numbers. And lastly, I would like to say the timing of us doing this room, because like you said, we met in 2007. Um, this is, I believe there's no accidents, or everything is what it should be when it should be. And I really, I, when I saw what you were doing, I didn't know that you were in the quantum world as well, but I should have guessed it back then because you had the same energy in 2007 that you have now, you know. So I should have known, but
Oh.
I wasn't I wasn't aware enough to, I was focused on the academics at the time of filmmaking and, being sure I gave you all what you needed. But I'm glad, we're part of the same cloth, and I'm happy to be a part of your world and your community.
Oh, and we
Mhm.
are just loving you and, holding that space to just go. It's such a go time. And yeah, thank you for honoring me. And yeah, it's just exciting. It's exciting that, going to film school was such a big move on my part, leaving Western medicine and just one day, realizing I'm creative and I need to jump as fast as I can onto something else. But that experience with all of us during that time couldn't have been more magical for myself. It's just truly, I've had a lot of amazing times in my life, but being in film school and being in collaboration with all my mentors and, all us students that showed up during that time, there is just not words for it. When you are in creation and you stay in creation for a significant amount of time, you're just in this beautiful flow state. And so I just honor what we do. I love that, you were a musician. I love your career in audio. I know what it takes to do really like good audio. There's so many layers to that, and that's everything of, film and production. But yeah, again, it's just, seeing you and being here together, it just brings me so much just gratitude for what we experienced together, and that we do get to move forward on these higher realms and really mix technology in where it truly needs to be.
Thank you. And in closing, also, I would like to add that uh, I've always viewed science and spirituality as siblings, um, and quantum and the divine as just the math of the divine. And in closing, I just want everybody, whoever hears this, to know that we can create the world we want to see. It's easier than we've been led on. Uh, so we just each have to figure out our parts. That's it.
Fully agree. And not only figure out, feel our way through. The more you can feel the resonance of the beauty and uniqueness that we bring, just ride that.
That's right.
Right?
Amen.
It's like just,
Amen.
yeah. Well,
Amen.
I just adore you and love you. Thank you for today. I'm
Thank
honored to
you.
have you.
Love
And
you too.
yeah,
Mhm.
thank you, audience. We will be hearing from Darcel down the road again because I'm definitely inviting you back because we want to hear more about the project. And yeah, I'm Shannon with Quantum Heart Conversations, and this is Darcel Walker, and we are signing off. Thank you.
Bye.